This is question 23 on the higher June 2013 calculator paper. Reading through this question, it says Dan does an experiment to find the value of pi. He measures the circumference and the diameter of a circle. He measures the circumference to be 170 millimeters to the nearest millimeter. He measures the diameter d as 54 millimeters to the nearest millimeter. He uses pi is equal to circumference divided by diameter. To find the value of pi, and they want us to find the upper bound and the lower bound for Dan's value of pi. And in the answer space, I've got upper bound and lower bound here. So before I actually start this, because we've measured, or he has measured, the circumference to the nearest millimeter, I could actually write down that the maximum value of the circumference is going to be 170.5. It's going to be half of 1 millimeter above for the maximum and half below for the minimum. So the minimum circumference is going to be 0.5 of a millimeter below 170, which is 169.5 millimeters. So that's the upper and the lower bound for the circumference. I'm going to do the same for the diameter. The maximum diameter is going to be, because it's measured to the nearest millimeter, it's going to be half a millimeter above 54, which is 54.5 millimeters, and the minimum diameter is going to be 53.5 millimeters. Okay, so there is my result for both of those. Now what I need to do is to do this calculation. They want us to find the upper bound. So the upper bound, now that is the maximum value of C over D. And what I'm going to do there is, to get the maximum value, I'm going to actually use the biggest circumference and the smallest possible diameter. So the maximum for the circumference and the minimum for the diameter. So that was going to be 170.5 divided by 53.5. And if I stick that into the calculator, (170.5) divided by 53.5 equals 3.1869. And if we write that to two decimal places, count 1, 2 decimal places, cut it off there, that is going to be 3.19 to 2 decimal places. And then looking at the lower bound, I'm going to go through the same process. I'll need to do a bit of thinking about what I use. So the lower bound, that's the minimum value. Now to get the minimum value, I'm going to use the smallest possible value for the circumference and the biggest possible value for the diameter, because I'm dividing by that. So I'm going to use the minimum circumference, which is 169.5, and divide that by the maximum diameter, 154.5, and let's see what we get there. 169.5 divided by 54.5 equals 3.11009. 3.11009. And again, if I write that to two decimal places, 1, 2, if I cut it off there, that's going to, because that's less than 5, that's 0 after the line, it's going to be 3.11. It's my answer to two decimal places. Now, they didn't ask for the answer to any particular decimal place, but because I was given more accurate answers over there. The examiner could see it. That's enough, I reckon, to get full marks on this question. This is a pretty straightforward question. A bit fiddly with the division, but if you think about it and you would have practiced this before, you should be able to get full marks in it. Make sure you understand it, and you can get all the marks in this question.